Welcome to The Guide at Fish North Georgia. Brought to you by these fine sponsors. Spro, working with America's best anglers to design the world's finest fishing tackle. Nichols Lures, handcrafted to perfection. Georgia Blade, makers of premium fishing lures for over 3 decades and home to the Georgia Jig. Crypto Bass, tournament grade, Georgia made. And be sure to visit fishnorthgeorgia.com. Now here's Justin Reynolds.
Hey guys, welcome back to Fish North Georgia and the Guide. We are right off of our second Electric Elite event at Rocky Mountain. And boy, was it a rough day. It wasn't horrible. It was a very comfortable day. That lake's just whack. It really is. I knew it was going to take a big bag to win, and unfortunately, we were around the fish all day. I mean, towards the end of the day, we were around the fish, and if you fish that lake, more than once, it's a timing deal. And, I knew it was going to be one on an A-rig, which it was. I'm pretty sure first, second, third, and fourth. I guarantee you every one of those fish came on an A-rig. Actually, I remember Michael Geiger saying last night, I think their first fish did come on a jig. But other than that, I believe every fish came on an A-rig. I know all of ours did. A little breakdown. We've been fishing it pretty hard for the past several weeks. I'd say the past month. I had a singles tournament out there 2 or 3 weeks ago. So, I've been fishing it several weeks even before that, and then I had a week off, cut off before the tournament. Then I started fishing it hard again, and then we had another week off before the elite tournament. So to go back, the water, when I think I first started fishing it, was 45, 46. And actually I think it was like 47-ish when I first started, and then we had all that snow come in, some cooler weather. I fished the singles tournament and solo tournament. I believe the water was like 45 to 46 that morning. And that was a tough day. I got 4 bites all day long. I'll include some pictures at the end of this so y'all can see what I've been catching out there the past few weeks. But that was a tough day. I only got 4 bites. My first 2 came on a Megabass jerkbait. And one wasn't a keeper. The next one was about 2 3/4. And then I started, targeting some rock piles, and I happened to hit one, and I caught 2, probably close to 4 pounds, and ended up getting second place in that one with 940, I believe. That was my weight with 3 fish there, 940. The weather started coming back up. It started heating back up a little bit. I figured the fish would be on those rock piles more. So pre-fishing, we kind of, just to go back for a minute, if you haven't fished Rocky Mountain, it's a spectacular lake. There's tons and tons and tons and tons of offshore structure. They've sinking pallets out there, all kinds of fish attractors, and there's tons of rock piles. All throughout both lakes, tons of rock piles. So the weekend before I fished the singles tournament. My partner and I both fished it in our own boats. We hit this one rock pile, and I caught like a 3.5 off of it. Hooked another one, and it come off, but it was a good one. I think he might have caught one, and then we left it alone. So, going into that next weekend, that was my game plan. I was going to start off on this one. There's several kind of in the area. So my plan was to go hit a few of those. That was, it was the 5-hour tournament. So that was my game plan going in. I wasn't, you didn't really have much time to run and gun and do a whole lot. So I was just going to kind of go to this area of the lake and bounce from rock pile to rock pile. And, I happened to hit one, and it paid off for me. Which, like I said, I could tell going into it, it was going to be a tough day. Definitely the first few hours of fishing, no bites yet. I knew it was going to be really tough. So when I got bit, I kind of tried to stay in the area, and it paid off. Okay, so fast forward a little bit, that tournament's over and done with. weather's still going up and down. So we hit the rock piles another time. The next time we went out pre-fishing, caught 3 or 4 fish off of them, all small. I mean, I think the biggest one was 2.5 pounds. I was like, okay, well, this isn't where the big ones are. So I believe the next weekend we went, and we found a few fish here and there, but everything was pretty random. And it ends up getting one. There's a tournament that day we were pre-fishing, and it ends up getting one in like 4 foot of water. I mean, that lake right there, the fish are on the bait. If you find the bait, 98% of the time, them fish are with them. But another little problem we were running into is we found tons of schools of bait, but there was nothing on them. But then you'd find some schools and there was fish on them. So it was just one of those deals like, and this is, a week before tournament. So we were just kind of hoping. We knew it was going to be cold all week and then starting to warm up just a little bit. We knew we didn't have the fastest boat, and a lot of the rock piles are kind of obvious. Definitely if you just got a decent graph. So we figured a lot of people would be sitting on them, and we weren't trying to race. We didn't. You don't want to race somebody to a spot and them beat you and either have to share it or have to go find something else off the wall. So we just kind of we knew where a lot of bait was. We knew a decent area, so we kind of just decided to stay back and we would give that a shot. So that's what we did. My partner caught a 5.5 pounder really quick, probably within 30 minutes of the tournament starting. And then it was just, we couldn't get bit. Couldn't get on a whole lot. We just couldn't get bit. I mean, we were seeing some fish and some bait, but we just could not get bit. So I'm like, let's go run some rock piles. So we made the trek down there. We hit this one rock pile, for a while. I mean, you see there's fish in the area. We hit it and hit it and hit it. Nothing. I'm like, hey, let's cruise over to this one. Cruised over to this one. Threw a jerkbait around, threw a square bill around. I think I threw a rattle trap over there. Nothing. Picked up the A-rig, threw it in there. Caught a 717. Few casts later, on the same pile, caught a 2-something. I believe we hit this other rock pile on our way out to go to another one. We passed, this is like, I'm still losing sleep over this. We passed Randy and Michael Geiger, and, they'd only had 1 fish. We only had 3, and if we thought anybody'd have a limit on a tough day like that, we thought it'd be them. So we were like, man, it's really tough. And, it's electric only fishing, so, I'm sure they saw us leave that spot. Not saying that's why they went there. I'm sure, they might have had that in their head to go there. Because they told us after the fact that, when they got down there, they had saw us pull off of it. So they knew how we fish, and if you know how me and my partner like to fish, definitely out there, we throw an A-rig like it's going out of style. And, man, they pulled up on it. He said they threw a worm for 10 or 15 minutes, never got bit. Picked up the A-rig and caught like a 690, right under 7 pounds. And, man, they think they filled out their limit there and even cold once or twice. But to me, it's just a timing thing. Do I think those fish were there when we were there? Yeah. But maybe they just weren't ready to feed. I mean, they hit it at a little different angle than us, but it wasn't like they hit it with the way the wind was blowing or anything like that where it's like, oh, that made sense. I mean, so to me, it just, because we ended up, so that happened, we passed them, they didn't have nothing, they went to that rock pile, long story short, they ended up catching their fish there and getting second place. And, so, we went and kind of ran some stuff, and I'm like, hey, let's go back and fish where I caught that big in that. I'm like, man, usually a 7 pounder is not random. So we went back, and they're still sitting on that same pile. They kind of made it clear that they'd caught a few there. We weren't sure what they'd caught, but they kind of made it. It was definitely clear that they'd caught some there. But we never watched them catch a fish. I mean, they had to have been and then off. And it's just one of those things. Like, man, if we could have just got a 2-pounder to bite there, we probably would have camped out there for a while, because it was a tough day. I mean, it was a grind. And I mean, that rock pile is really just in the perfect location. I mean, it's right in front of a spawning pocket. And then this time of year, that water starts to warm up. That's the first place they move up out of that deeper water. They move to them piles, and then they'll chill there for a little while, and then they're going to move back into the spawning pockets. But, I mean, I'm a big believer if it drops down into the 30s next week, which it's not supposed to, if it drops down into the 30s next week, they're going to be back in the deeper water. I mean, Rocky Mountain's one of those lakes where you can literally go one day and catch 35 pounds, which I haven't done, and then go the next 0. I mean, running the same exact stuff. I mean, it beats you. It will straight beat you. It'll make you beat yourself. Big congrats to everybody that fished that though and did well. You know, it was a rough day. It just fished tough. You know, we ended up getting 4th place, which isn't horrible. You know, definitely in the group of guys that we got. I think almost 23 pounds won it. Randy and Geiger had 19 something, I believe. 18 something was 3rd. So we were fortunate enough to only put, 3. Well, we weren't fortunate to put 3 fish in the boat, but we were fortunate enough to get 4th with only 3 fish. Like I said, my partner caught a 5.5 first thing that morning, and then we went several hours. I think it was probably 11 or 12 o'clock before I caught the other 2, and they were pretty back to back. I mean, probably within 10 minutes of each other. And, that gave us a huge momentum boost, but we just could not. We tried to duplicate it, and it wasn't working. I mean, and it was just one of those days, it was kind of upsetting. We weren't mad about it, but it's just kind of one of those things where you're just scratching your head like, man, what else could I have done? And then the fact to find out that they ran right to that rock pile and caught them on an A-rig is like, just makes you want to. But there's nothing else we could have done except just stayed there and, wasted more time or sacked up on them. I mean, it could have been the color of the baits they were throwing. I mean, I have no idea. I think it's one of those things, it was just a timing thing. Those fish just decided to eat for a minute. I mean, because I've seen it. Last year, we sat on one spot all day. We ran there first thing, and we sat there all day long. We caught 2 right off the rip, and then we probably went 2 hours without another bite. And then it was bam, 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 bam. You'd have a slope here, then it was bam, bam, bam. I mean, they just all happened to be big that day. But I knew that lake was a timing deal, but that right there showed me, because we marked those fish all day long. That's why we never left. But it was literally when they bit, you'd catch 5 or 6 real quick. And then you'd go for, a little while with not even a bite. And then you'd catch a few real fast. And then it was just, literally like clockwork, except you can't time it. When they're ready to eat, they're ready to eat. And that's all there is to it. If I'm probably going to head back out there next weekend. Got a little while before our next tournament, before I really start having to dive deep and pre-fish those lakes. I think I'm going to go out there and, take one of my buddies and play around this coming Saturday. And what I'm going to be looking for is the same thing. We're on a huge warming trend. I'm crossing my fingers for a giant bag. I mean, I hope we can catch some toads. I really think we can. We're just going to have to find them, but I'm going to start off by running these rock piles. And then I'm going to start off doing that. I know they're not going to be deep. So I'm going to start off running some rock piles, and then I'm going to head back into the pockets if that isn't panning out. And anywhere between the rock piles and the pockets. Any kind of little transition, anything, some highways. I mean, these fish should be following the bait. The bait should be heading towards the warmer water. That shallower water is going to heat up the fastest. So I think we've got a few days in the high 60s and possibly even low 70s this week, right before the weekend. It's probably going to be slap packed on Saturday just because it's going to be a beautiful. Actually, I hope it's not. Actually, I think it's supposed to be perfect conditions. It's supposed to be rainy and nasty on Saturday, which in my opinion is the best A-rig conditions there is. That's what also hurt us. last weekend. It was bright bluebird skies, very to no wind at all, very little to no wind at all, and but they ate. I mean, they ate, like I said. Some people caught them really. I don't know if they even caught them really well. I mean, they could have caught 5 fish all day long. I think Randy and Geiger only caught 6 or 7 fish. We only caught 3. I watched Taylor Smith and Patricia put their 5th fish in the boat, 20 minutes before weigh-in. So I mean, it was definitely, you had to fight for it. It was a grind, that's for sure. It's just unfortunate that we were literally sitting on that spot fishing with the same bait they pulled up right after us and caught them on. That's just like, oh my gosh, make you lose sleep over it. That's for sure. But like I said, if I'm going out there next week, which I probably will, that's what I'm gonna be targeting. I'm gonna be looking for the rock piles. Just scan around with your graph, you find them, get off of them, and throw to them. Like I said, I've been catching some on a jerk off of them with a jerk bait and an A-rig. That's pretty much been my 1-2 punch. They've seemed to be wanting the A-rig more. Go figure, right? I haven't caught any big ones on the jerk bait. Caught a few solid fish on it, but I feel like when it's just something else to throw in there, give them a different look for a minute. But other than that, I don't have a whole lot. Like I said, congrats to everybody that, had a good bag out there and caught them. And, we look forward to the next one. Thanks to all the sponsors that are sponsoring this whole Electric Elite deal. And thanks to Josh and Danny and Chris Gayton, Aaron Cole, Geiger, everybody who's involved for putting it on. And we'll see y'all guys at Hard Labor Creek for another tournament report. And hopefully we'll see you before then with just another fishing report. I can't really give a report when I'm pre-fishing because there's too many good people out there that can take some of this information and really put it to use if I do get onto something or what I don't even get onto. So for the tournament schedule, we'll wait to do those reports after the tournament like we did this one. And other than that, like I said, if my next 2 tournaments coming up is Hard Labor Creek Reservoir and Lake Ackworth with the Solo Trail. So I'm looking forward to both of those. It's getting a little bit later in the year. Fish are really going to start pulling up. That's how I like to fish. I love to fish shallow. I just like to fish, really. I don't care. I have my preferences. I like to throw topwater, and that's what time it's getting. I love to throw topwater around. If you know me, I love topwater. Not just a fro. Any topwater. If there's grass or, bushes, I'm going to be throwing a fro. I love to throw topwater. Anytime I can put a topwater in my hand, I'm a happy guy. Because if you're going to get bit, a lot of times it's going to be a good fish. But y'all stay tuned. Check out all the reports and let us know what else you'd like to see. And y'all get on the lake and y'all go catch them.
Thanks for watching the guide here at Fish North Georgia. Our mission is to build a community of anglers to give you the best and latest information to make your day on the water more successful. Make sure you subscribe to our channel, click the bell so you'll be notified of any future content. Make sure you check us out at fishnorthgeorgia.com where we carry a large variety of bait manufacturers from here in the North Georgia area. So we appreciate you being part of our community, and we'll see you soon.